Hi, my name is Katie Schuler. I'm a marketing program specialist here at Time4Learning. I'm also a longtime homeschooling mom. My oldest son, Bailey, used Time4Learning from second grade all the way through high school, and he graduated from our homeschool in 2017. My youngest son, Braden, has been thriving with Time4Learning since preschool, and he's currently in 11th grade. Today, I have LaRichelle joining me. She is a grandmother from Chicago who's currently homeschooling her granddaughter, as well as a few other students. LaRichelle has volunteered to share her family's homeschooling story and provide some helpful advice for other parents and guardians. If you enjoy this interview, please subscribe to our channel and like us on social media to see more fun episodes of Tales from the Homeschool Front. Hi, thank you for joining us, LaRichelle. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of chat with me and give us a little bit of kind of inspiration for what brought you to homeschooling and how you're handling things. So to just get started, if you would give a brief introduction, tell us a little bit about you, your background, who you're homeschooling, and why you decided to make this leap.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to say thank you for having me. It is quite an honor. I have enjoyed Time4Learning thoroughly. A little bit about my background. Right now, I have a master's in addiction studies, but I started off working with kids. So most of my adult life, I've worked with children. I homeschooled I had a daycare with my own children. I almost said homeschool because that's when I first tried it and it was hard. And I said, okay, they'll go. I did kindergarten then, but I said, no, they'll go to first grade. But then I went into their schools with them and became the PTO president. And then I finished school and got a bachelor's in psychology, master's in addiction study, and opened up an alcohol and drug treatment center. And then my granddaughter came in the world.
Wow.
And yeah, so her parents were busy working, and I can see right away that this little girl was amazing. And so, she's my best friend. So she spent so much time with me. And her papa and me, we taught her every day, like she couldn't do anything unless she learned first. And so by the time she started preschool, she had already knew like her ABCs and numbers and shapes and colors. And she can talk because she's a singer. So sound is easy for her. So language arts, she's like 7 in third grade language arts through your program. So when the whole my daughter transitioned her into public school in kindergarten. She started being bullied a lot. And so she would come and tell me, her best friend, like, this is horrifying. And I would tell my daughter, please, you got to get her out of there. Like, can she just go to school in my neighborhood? So I finally convinced my daughter to let her come the next year, which would be first grade. And then Chicago went on strike, and then it's the pandemic. And so they started doing the e-learning. And so she would be with me every day because my daughter has her own business. She would be here and I would watch her in school, and it was barely any kids there. She was running in the backyard doing cartwheels. I'm like, aren't you in school? So
it was just not a good experience when she came home to do that e-learning. Got you.
Yes. And so her graduation, she got every award. She topped everything. They had already put her in like first grade reading, but she's not even sitting in class. Like, that doesn't say a whole lot about this program.
Yeah, like how did they measure that success?
Exactly.
Earned all of those things. How did they get there?
Right. So then the pandemic happened. So now my daughter is like, okay, Mom. I said, I'm just going to have to homeschool her. Well, my daughter, I was her kindergarten teacher and I was her preschool teacher. So, she knew that I would be great. Plus I was a, Sunday school teacher and a youth pastor. It's like whenever I'm around kids, they put me in charge. It's just like, I know I'm going.
I'm the opposite. I'm usually one of the kids that needs an adultier adult. So
that's how we got started. So I researched and I came across Time4Learning.
Nice.
And I just really, it was just so easy to understand. It was just, computer friendly, just everything was just easy. And so I studied, just read a lot of just what you guys had to say about education. And then I studied the laws in Illinois, found out it was pretty easy. Like I just had to, make sure she wasn't truant. And so we started and decorated the classroom. And I just felt like I came back home,
You said that you researched Time4Learning. Did you start this school year with the e-learning program, or did you just?
I did with my granddaughter.
Okay.
I did with my granddaughter, and then my best friend's granddaughter moved back to Chicago, and she went right into the public schools with the e-learning, and she came from a homeschool format in Arizona, came to Chicago and tried to go into the public schools, and she wasn't doing well.
Okay, so you homeschool your granddaughter and your best friend's granddaughter.
Now, my best friends. So Kai, she's my best friend's granddaughter. She's been with me for about 2 months. And all of a sudden, her confidence has just skyrocketed.
That's great.
She really didn't think she was smart.
Oh, that's always a terrible thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
Your child or someone else's child, you never want to see that light dim, and that's crazy. So I'm really glad to hear that. So homeschooling, you can definitely tell an improvement, a boost in their confidence by being at home, and that's awesome. That's great.
Mm-hmm. I had, me being an overachiever, who gets a Google page when they're just homeschooling their granddaughter, right? But I wanted her, this generation, all they think of is going viral. So whenever people would click and see their cute little pictures up of them pointing at this a board or something on the wall, they'd say, "Are we viral? Are we viral?" So, it really helped to make them just really get into learning different things. So somebody actually called though.
Oh, wow.
And convinced me to take her 2 kids because they were failing for the first time in their life. All F's.
Wow. So you have this whole little pod then that you are. Okay, that's really exciting. And that's something that's kind of new, I think. As a longtime homeschooler, I'm not used to that pod kind of term. We have homeschool groups and co-ops, but, they're bigger. They're on a different scale. They're much larger. So with the learning pods that have come, that's something that's really new to me as a homeschooler. So so they're all on Time4Learning? Are you using a mix of different programs with them?
Well, right now we finally got Kylie caught up to Callie. My granddaughter is in 3rd grade language arts. So the other 2 kids are in 2nd grade. It just so happened that this mother's son was with them in the same grade. So I was able to really look at the work that they had done. And because of the way Time4Learning is set up, I could quiz them. Nice. And just to see, where they're at, and it moved them up or down accordingly.
And that's really nice. There's no pressure. You have access to all of these different lesson plans and all of these quizzes. So, so when you started homeschooling this year, and you started your granddaughter and your best friend's granddaughter, how did you start with a different program? How did you discover Time4Learning?
No, I started with Time4Learning. It just looked professional. It looked very well organized. A lot of the work was done for me in terms of grading, attendance, even down to how many minutes that they would take on various lessons. There's even a membership letter that I can download, and present to the schools. It's it was all done. And then they had the subjects that Illinois requires. for a second grader or elementary school student. And so, why not? And then it was so much more. And I love the fact that Time4Learning, you have access to a grade below and a grade above. So I can always, that is wonderful, because every student has a strong area and
Absolutely.
a not so strong area,
Absolutely.
But
and it's not going to be it's not even, that's the best part to me, is really being able to customize what my child has learned. And so there's no pressure. There's no, they're not intimidated. If they're on third grade language arts, at second grade math, they can do that without even really recognizing that it's different grade levels. They just know it's 3 and 2 on their dashboard. Kind of mental way. So that's really neat. So with all the resources that you have grown to love, including the Time4Learning membership, what would you say is your favorite feature or tool, and why is that particular feature your favorite?
The program can create a curriculum for you.
A detailed plan.
Yes, a plan, right. Or you can go in and there. So that has really helped me with these students that's popping in midterm, to go in and uncheck what they've already covered, and, and cater that to right where they are. So I love that feature. I also love the fact that I can print reports. Remember I said I had tried homeschooling when my kids were little? I do not remember it being this easy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
In fact, I was like, oh, no. I have respect for anybody that's doing this. I can't handle it. It was just like the format and everything I had to do. It was just way too much.
So that's interesting, because actually my next question was, what was your perception of homeschooling before you started Time4Learning? You would say that while you were open to the idea of homeschooling, you found it a little more difficult than what you expected.
Right. Now, of course, I'm a grown woman now, and it's different when you have a grandbaby, it's like you'll do anything, you'll challenge yourself, and I'm so glad I did. It was more about her, and I didn't really care what it took. And I was intimidated, as I'm sure any parent would be, to be a teacher,
sure.
And so but Time4Learning did make it easy. And, I'm learning too. I'm not going to kid you. This is second grade. I know how to do multiplication and different things, but you don't really remember the foundation. So I feel like so smart these days.
Because this is one that I always enjoy hearing from other parents. How do you infuse real life lessons into what your granddaughter and your pod children are learning on the Time4Learning platform? So we know that we provide so much content online and we have printable resources, but what are some life skills and real life activities that you do to incorporate within our platform?
Okay, so Mondays, so we have a whole, every day we have a different elective. And so Monday is our love class, because I teach an unconditional love class. That's what the alcohol and drug treatment center that I owned was called Agape Headquarters. And Agape means unconditional love, or God kind of love. So I kind of teach them how to walk in love and how to love the unlovable, and that's their secret power. They always want all of these powers, and to tell them you really have it through love. And so we have that little spiritual component on Mondays. Tuesdays, we have Healthy Cooking for Kids Day. So that's how we get health and nutrition in there, because, African Americans, we suffer from diabetes, high blood pressure, a little bit more than everyone else, heart disease. And in fact, in every kid in here's family, there's someone that has one of those things. Wow. And so to teach them how to combat that early. So
that's great. A lot of us. I mean, so many
so
people,
they go in the kitchen. Yeah, they go in the kitchen and they pick out their favorite vegetables that make a salad or a fruit salad, or, and even to teach them little things like the benefit of cinnamon. Like, okay, you want to make hot chocolate, let's put cinnamon in it
That's
because it
awesome.
lowers
That's
the
so great.
glucose, So things, and then Thursday we play board games, and that's where they practice their counting and with Monopoly, with money. Even though we haven't learned how to count money yet, that's coming up next. And Fridays is Spanish, and we do that through Rosetta Stone with that Time4Learning has,
Time for languages. Okay.
partnership with. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. So that's really, it sounds like it's such a full week and full in a good way, like really well rounded. There are a lot of life lessons going on, and I love that. It's so important, and it's so much more that you can do at home. You're not bound by the hours of a school day. You're not add in these extras after a school day. I think that's really great.
Right, because with the homeschool, just want to add that with the homeschool curriculum, you can do so much more so fast, much quicker. You don't need 8 hours, So it's just so amazing to my granddaughter that school is over.
Yes.
And what I do is I do a subject each day. Mondays and Tuesdays is math. Wednesdays is social studies. Wednesdays is social study. Thursdays language arts. Friday is science and Spanish. So we break it down like that, and then we also do theater and drama. So yeah. Callie is, speaking of real life, I think it's really teaching to how to be independent, just an independent thinker, more so because they don't have the to worry about pleasing other kids or fitting in. They can just be themselves and go at their own pace. And it's not that, what kids go through.
So with the flexibility of Time4Learning and homeschooling, how has that enhanced the learning process for your granddaughter?
I think of her mother, who was not a morning person, but that was my daughter. And every fight we had was because I was waking her up. All of them happened early in the morning, so I don't have to go through that with her daughter. I think because she knows it's not so long. She can, she just does it. Like, she knows I'm only going to do math, and we're only doing math today, and it's not going to take so long. She knows that the day is not long, so she gives it her all without worrying about how long or being bored. Kids just can't sit still. Like, they just weren't made to sit still, which is why I don't understand this e-learning.
I mean, it's so hard. It's so what we talked a little bit about the program. So let's talk about your granddaughter. What is her favorite part of homeschooling? Like, if you were to ask her, what is her favorite thing? What do you think she'd say?
Me teaching.
Yeah.
She likes when she actually does like that one-on-one interaction. She likes when I turn around and put what she's got on the screen on the board.
Okay.
And I'm a little silly. I act like a kid. So, Kylie's like, Miss Lai, you make everything more fun. So, when you're a bubbly person, kids need that energy, So yeah, they like when I get up and start teaching them. She likes language arts in Time4Learning, and she likes the fact that it's so much reading that I don't even feel pressured to have her read books outside of the program, because she gets her reading in. And so she likes that I don't make her do all of this extra reading, because she has enough, She's
Yeah, that's
7
good.
in third grade language arts.
Did your granddaughter have a perception of homeschooling before you started? And if so, has it changed any since you started Time for Learning and you've kind of gotten this routine down?
Yeah, we finally got a routine. She was confused at first. But it's really interesting because, the first week she would still call me Nana. Now, when we step in this green room, I'm Miss La.
Okay.
But when we go upstairs, I'm Nana. And so initially she was just like, so there's not going to be any other kids? And I was like, no, it's just you and I. This is homeschool. And then I said, the alternative is you can log on the computer and then you can see other kids. No. So then she got used to it and she loves it. And they wanted to speak themselves, but they start playing. Now they're in her room. But
that's good.
Yeah, I asked her what does she like most about homeschool, and unfortunately, she said, "Well, you don't get bullied in homeschool, and I got bullied a lot in public schools."
You always hate to hear that.
And it wasn't just her. Kids
No, it seems to be.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah, it seems to be. Well, it's not the subject of this particular interview Q&A. That over the years, that has definitely come up so often. There are a lot of misconceptions why people start to homeschool, taking the pandemic totally out of the equation. 2020. If you ask someone what made you decide to homeschool, you'd have so many different reasons, spiritual teaching, needs or gifted child, family travel, but always at the top of that list was, either being bullied or fear of being bullied. It had gotten so prevalent that parents were making the decision to homeschool to kind of preemptively cut that off because it's all they hear. And so that's always terrible, but it is definitely a benefit of homeschooling is to get students out of that environment and help them, build themselves up outside of that. So that's, it's always, you hate hearing it, that it happens at all. But as a huge homeschooling advocate, as a parent, I love hearing how kids can overcome that. And if homeschooling is a way to do that, then that's just awesome. So again, earlier, when we first started and we touched on the confidence that your granddaughter has experienced, are there some examples that you can share with us that how you witnessed maybe things with her that have changed, the areas that she's become more confident since she started using Time for Learning and homeschooling?
Well, she definitely sees how smart she is because when she completed an assignment, there's her score right there. And she hates not getting 100. In fact, she'll do it again until she get 100. And so she's just a cat. Every kid has gifts. Hers are intellectual. And so learning is just really easy for her. She actually makes me look good. She really, but her confidence in terms of like, we do a lot of extra stuff. Like they can say all 50 states in alphabetical order. Like at 7 years old. See, that was something they didn't like when I introduced that, but we learned the maps. That was a part of like, chapter 2 in social studies and the globe and location. And we just took it a step further, and so now for her to say Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas.
I couldn't do that. I mean, I will straight up on that. I couldn't do that. I could maybe write them all down on a piece of paper, the ones that are around me as I branch out, like the ones that I've traveled to. And inevitably, I'm going to get to like 45 and 46, and I'm going to have to really start to envision maps and go, did I forget one? Maybe Delaware. What about, that's outstanding to hear that they can do that, because that's something that a lot of people don't have.
Right. And I felt so phony because I'm like, I told myself, you can't even do this. But making them do it over and over again, then I start learning it. But they
Absolutely.
don't know that they taught me that. So yeah, just her realizing like I could do this, or learning the math. Like math is something I think intimidated her just a little bit. But in Time for Learning, they'll show 2 or 3 ways to solve a problem. And for her to see that I understand this. And she loved the characters.
Oh, that's so fun.
She, first grade language arts, I moved her up because it was really, she's like, I already know this, because she can read really well. So that was just covering like phonetics and all the sounds and different things. So when I moved, she was really bored with that. So I said, well, let's try 3rd grade. And the first lesson, she says, yes, Nana, I want to. And the characters are just a little more animated and, just a little more advanced, And so that really, those characters really capture her attention a lot and keep it.
That's awesome. And you want them engaged. I mean, if they're always bored, I mean, they're out. They're not focused. They're not paying attention. They have no desire to continue to go on. So you could recognize that and go, all right, boom, up a grade. I have one final question, and this is one that I always love to answer when I'm asked, but I also always love to ask it. So if you had one piece of advice, if you could only tell parents who are thinking about homeschooling one thing, what would you tell them?
That they have already inside of them everything that they need to teach, train, lead, direct the children that God has given them. They have the power inside of them.
I love that.
That's it. They can do it. And I would encourage them to do it. We're just so happy, and the parents are happy. And how could you not? Like, they're telling all their friends, And my granddaughter had a birthday party in December, and she used the water. And so, of course, her after party was at my house, which I didn't find out until the after party. So here comes all the little girls. And so the one mom said, can you please take my daughter to? And I didn't at the time, And but it's really because these kids are standing out themselves. And it really is the curriculum. I didn't write the curriculum.
Give yourself all the credit, though. I mean, don't discount what you're doing for these kids. I think Time for Learning, it saved my homeschool when we found Time for Learning back in 2007. I've been using it so long. And, it sounds cliche, when I say that it made such a difference. We were just going to throw in the towel. We had gotten to that point in 2 years where I couldn't do the lesson planning. I couldn't do some of the subjects, and it was so hard. So I will give Time for Learning so many accolades, but never, ever, ever, cut yourself short. Give yourself that credit, because it sounds like
Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely phenomenal job. And this has been one of the most delightful interviews that I have done. And I cannot. Your perspective and your positivity is so inspiring. Thank
you.
I absolutely love speaking with you today. So,
and likewise. And we will be friends. Okay.
Definitely.
I'm going to just adopt you as my friend. Okay.
Please do. And let me join in your Love Mondays and your Healthy Tuesdays, because those sound great. I'm going to have for some tips.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining us today. No, thank you.
It's been very fun. Okay.
Absolutely.
You guys have a great one.
Thank you.
That's it for today's episode. If you're interested in learning more about our homeschooling program, please visit Time4Learning.com or email me at the address on the screen. We're happy to connect you with a wealth of information like videos, resources, and blog articles. Until next time.